Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about some more recent Warren Buffett plays. So he did actually just spend $5.1 billion on this specific stock. So in just a few seconds, we'll be discussing this most recent article that was released talking about this purchase, and then also breaking down this stock as well, just my thoughts and opinions on it, and of course whether I think this was a good play as well. So as always, if you do appreciate this stock market news, whether it's Tesla news, Warren Buffett news, or just general news about the stock market, then please make sure to smash that like button. It definitely helps me out. And also, I hope y'all are having a good Sunday today so far. Make sure to take it easy if it's your day off, relax a little bit. But just focusing on this video for today, Warren Buffett, as we know, is one of the biggest figures in not only the finance community, but especially the investment community. He's known for making really solid stock picks for the long term with ones such as Apple and others. As we know, Apple stock has grown tremendously since Warren Buffett originally purchased it. So that's one that Warren Buffett has definitely made some solid decisions on. Now, lately, his decisions have been a bit more controversial, with him exiting airlines, picking up Bank of America stock. I believe he's invested so far $2.1 billion into Bank of America stock. He might have actually put more money into that since I did the last video, because he had been putting money into Bank of America daily since like July 20th and on. So he could actually still be putting money into Bank of America right now. But that choice was a little bit more controversial. And you also had the fact that Warren Buffett had been sitting on so much cash on the sidelines, and we didn't see him deploying a lot of cash during this most recent crash. Now keep in mind, hindsight is 2020, and most of us didn't expect it to recover that fast, including myself, but I was just deploying cash anyways at these low points. And so some people have been saying that Warren Buffett had a late reaction to the market and he let it go up too much. And I have noticed that Warren Buffett doesn't seem to be too interested in tech for some reason. That's one of the few sectors of the economy, and especially the stock market, that I think can almost succeed in any economic times. As we know, with the whole Rona situation, tech has managed to excel in this situation, whereas other businesses are struggling a lot. So personally, I would love to see Warren Buffett put some money into some tech stocks. That would be a purchase I would absolutely be fully behind. And as we know, tech is a little bit controversial because we are on all-time highs with many tech stocks. But what a lot of people just don't realize is that tech stocks have been at all-time highs for like the past 5 years. Many ones out there like Microsoft, Apple, a lot of those have seemed expensive in the past, but if you fast forward 2 to 3 years, it's still hitting all times once again. So in my opinion, the tech sector is a great one for dollar cost averaging. But regardless, we went on a tangent there, but let's go ahead and check out this article with this most recent purchase by Warren Buffett. So this is an article from CNBC from author Fred Imbert, and the article title states, Buffett buys back record $5.1 billion in Berkshire stock as Rona hits operating earnings. Then if we get down into the key points of this article, it states Berkshire said it repurchased $5.1 billion worth of stock in May and June, and the share purchase is the most ever in a single period for Buffett, nearly double the $2.2 billion the conglomerate bought back in the final quarter of 2019, and those buybacks come during a tough time period for Berkshire's wholly owned business as the Rona thwarted economic activity in the US and across the globe. So, before we even go farther into this article, it has officially been announced that Warren Buffett has spent $5 billion on stock buybacks for Berkshire Hathaway. And if you're not familiar with it, Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett's investment company. So for example, you have mutual funds and index funds, and you have ETFs like VOO. That's kind of in that similar area where you can invest in Berkshire Hathaway, where it has a bunch of different company holdings. So this is actually a big move for Warren Buffett. So before I get into my thoughts, let's go ahead and address the rest of this article where it goes a little bit more in depth on this purchase. As it states right here, Berkshire Hathaway has announced on Saturday it bought back a record amount of its own stock during the second quarter as the Rona dented operations for Warren Buffett's conglomerate. The company said it repurchased $5.1 billion worth of stock in May and June, and then a breakdown of that is that Berkshire repurchased $4.6 billion of its Class B stock and about $486.6 million in Class A shares. So if you're not familiar with that either, the Class B and Class A, I believe those are kind of similar to like with Google. You have GOOG and then you have GOOGL. BNL for the ticker symbols. They're technically two different stocks, but they have very, very similar performance. And I think one of these, either Class A or Class B, is like the really expensive one, the ones that's like $425,000 per share. And then you have the other one that's like a lot cheaper, like $100 to $300 or something like that. We can check that out in just a second back over on Robinhood. But it continues and states the share repurchase is the most ever in a single period for Buffett, nearly double the $2.2 billion they spent back in the final quarter of 2019, and the amount is slightly more than what Buffett spent buying back Berkshire stock in all of 2019. And despite the company's record buybacks last quarter, the Berkshire's cash hoard grew to more than $140 billion. And then it states Berkshire Class A and Class B shares plunged more than 19% in the first quarter and lagged the S&P 500 during the second quarter with declines of more than 1%. And then it also states operating profits for Berkshire fell 10% during the second quarter, dropping to $5.51 billion from $6.14 billion in the year earlier period. The company also took a charge of approximately $10 billion from the Precision Castparts, Berkshire's largest business with its manufacturing segment. And then it states Berkshire's investment in the public markets gained $34.5 billion in the quarter, and that gain caused an overall second quarter net earnings to surge $26.3 billion, up from $14.1 billion a year ago. However, unrealized gains from investments quarter to quarter are volatile, and even Warren Buffett himself has warned investors not to focus on that overall net earnings figure. And then it also mentions some companies that Warren Buffett is invested in that have actually performed pretty well. For example, you have Apple, which is actually Warren Buffett's largest holding in Berkshire, and it states right here that it has doubled since March 23rd. And then JP Morgan and Chase is another one, which is up over 27%, and then Amazon is up over 66%. And here was a quote in the past by Warren Buffett discussing the whole Rona situation, stating that the risks and uncertainties resulting from the Rona may affect our future earnings, cash flows, and financial condition, including the nature and duration of the curtailment or closure of our various facilities and the long-term effect on our demand for our products and services. So just discussing this article and expanding on that information a little bit more, let's go ahead and check out Berkshire just to see what the share price is looking at. This is one that I actually haven't looked at in a while now. We'll check out both of these just out of curiosity's sake. So like I said, this is the one that has a large share price that we were discussing earlier. So this is ticker symbol BRK.A. That's basically just Class A share, I believe. So this is one that is up 2.24% for today. Past week, it's up around 6.5%. Past month, it's up around 15%. Past 3 months, it's up 19%. Past year, it's up 4.78%, and then past 5 years, it is up 46.58%. So in terms of the average 10% return that you get with the stock market per year, this is actually getting up there with that average. So it is farther up than I thought it would be, especially for the past year. So it's just a little bit off from that, about 3.5%. So in comparison of that average, Berkshire Hathaway is not doing too bad, honestly, but it's not my ideal choice as a stock pick, and it's only up 4.78% for the past year. However, that's still a lot better than some of these other companies like airlines and vacation stocks that are really struggling right now, that are like far into the negative for not only the year, but the past 5 years as well. So let's go ahead and check out the Class B share just out of pure interest in comparison. So this one is at $210.50 per share. It's up around 2.5% for the past day. It's up 7% for the past week about it. For the past month, it's up 15.6%. So very similar to what we've seen with the other one, up around 20% for the past 3 months. For the past year, that's a little more than the one we previously looked at, BRK.A. So this one is up 5.29%, I believe, and it's up 47.09% for the past 5 years. So the one that's actually cheaper per share is up more than the Class A shares. And so this is actually really similar to that 10% per year average. So honestly, not too bad. I would probably consider this pretty similar to what VOO is doing right now. Okay, so VOO is still doing much better. Honestly, if you're looking for an ETF that pretty much just diversifies for you, I would much prefer VOO or NASDAQ in comparison to Berkshire Hathaway. And the main reason that I think Warren Buffett repurchased his shares is, for one thing, they don't offer dividends. As you can see, there's nothing there for the dividend yield. So unlike VOO, which offers dividends, Berkshire Hathaway actually doesn't. So I think this is kind of Warren Buffett's contribution, given the fact that they already don't have dividends. So him putting a lot of money into stock buybacks would actually help the shareholders. And for one thing, if you're a long-term investor in Berkshire Hathaway, you'll only have to pay 20% on capital gains taxes in comparison to having to pay a higher tax rate on the dividend yield that you do get. So I think this was honestly kind of Warren Buffett's way of giving shareholders a dividend instead of just saying, okay, we're going to give you all a dividend. I think he realizes that it's more worthwhile to just put his own money into the company and actually drive the share prices up. So if you're a long-term investor like Warren Buffett commonly preaches, then you're going to save a lot more money on taxes for whatever the share price grows to. So I think this was kind of Warren Buffett's version of dividend, but kind of a smarter way in comparison to your typical way of what you would call a dividend. So this is more of just driving the stock price up for investors as well. And then it also gives Warren Buffett a larger position in his own company. So I think that's what a lot of the motivation was for this position. So with it still being under the most recent peak on like February 21st. At this point, it was at $229. Right now, it's at $210. So you could say that Warren Buffett pretty much believes that his own company is undervalued right now. But I think a lot of the motivation, like I said, was instead of providing a dividend, it just drives the stock price up a little bit. And also, as we know, when Warren Buffett does make a stock purchase, it's definitely big news. People like to follow him and keep up with the plays that he's making. So when he announces that he's putting like $5.1 billion back into his own company, then that may encourage others to try to buy his company as well. So it's almost like pumping his own stock. Now, my personal opinion on this whole situation, I've addressed the whole Bank of America purchase. I said that there were more ideal options other than Bank of America, and I still feel the same way about Berkshire Hathaway as well. Yes, it's Warren Buffett's own company. He may have a little bit of bias there, but if he's trying to grow the most money for his investors, I think it would be better off putting his money into some tech stocks. I mean, honestly, putting more money into Apple wouldn't be a bad idea in my opinion. Like I said, we are near all-time highs for Apple, but we were at all-time highs in 2018 and in 2017 and in 2015. So I feel like tech is one of the few sectors that just doesn't have a lot of risk right now. And some people may call me crazy for that opinion because they probably remember the late 90s to 2000 dot-com bubble crash. But in my opinion, I really do think the future is in tech, just because you have some crazy gross profit margins on tech and software. When you offer software as a service, and even with the Apple iPhones where there's a really nice gross margin on those as well, there's just some amazing profits that you can get with a lot of these companies and the products that they produce, such as like the iPhones. And then you also have the software as a service, like I mentioned, where you have Apple TV now, you have Apple Music, and you have many apps in the App Store. So with software, there's so much potential with these profit margins, and that's one of the reasons why Apple and many other tech companies have excelled during this bad economic time. And I think that's a testament to the power and opportunity of these tech companies. So I really do think the future is tech, and I don't see things changing for a long time. But anyways, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. Regardless, I thought it was interesting that Warren Buffett did make this huge purchase, and I wanted to share this information with you all just because it's interesting. And I know a lot of you like to keep up to date on what Warren Buffett is doing, but I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button. And also, feel free to sign up to Robinhood and Webull in the description below with my referral link. If you sign up with my link, then you'll get some free stocks, and especially with Webull right now, you can get up to 60 free stocks depending on how much you deposit. So, hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.